Yeah. Hey girl, how are
Hi,
you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
As you
So,
can see, I'm in a new place. You're in a new place.
yeah, oh yeah. You know what? I don't know why I didn't even like really notice it at first when we were talking earlier. But
Well,
yes,
not
I'm in
new
another new
place,
place.
but I'm back in Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm in the same neighborhood as
Okay.
before, but it
Okay.
feels like, and I said this to Ken, I'm like, it still feels like we're miles away, but really just around the corner. It feels amazing.
Yep.
But speaking of which, like, um, we actually did manifest living in this neighborhood. And when I was doing deliveries with Kid, I was doing, I was driving. I always like to work with my kid. She's like my shadow, and that's like number one for me. But we would always have so much fun listening to music, and then we would drive to different neighbors, dropping off food. We would do the whole DoorDash thing. I used to do DoorDash, and we came upon this neighborhood, and we were like, "Wow, it'd be really nice to live there," And it was this really cute house that we were dropping off at. I actually dropped off at the wrong house because the way that the backyards were, and then it was all these different multicolored homes where it was very like eclectic, almost kind of hippie like, but they were nice homes. It was like all these different colors, like oranges and purples, and pinks and blues and beige with orange, and it just always seemed like a really nice area. And then we found ourselves living here, and even with the last place we lived at, my kid had said, "Hey mom, I want to live there again." Well, the landlord had reached out and invited us to live there one random day last April, and was like, "Hey, Kristen, I want you to," he's like, "Would you be interested in staying here for like 4 months?" And it just happened that I was going through something at the place I was at where it was a stable spot, and I was doing the RV life, and I liked it. And it felt really stable, and it was like a community kind of feel. My kid had other kids to play with. And
Yeah.
then as soon as, one of the kids wanted to bite into my child like she was a KFC dinner. And the other one was trying to hit her with a plank of wood like they were a construction worker. And then the plumbing situation was a whole other thing where I'm like, why am I
Right.
getting sick like 5 times? And then my aunt kind of informed me because her dad was a plumber. So in the middle of going through all of that, um,
Jeez.
and me having to, it was like in the midst of that, my this landlord from the past had reached out and was like, "Hey, do you want to live in my space?" And I'm like, you know what? I reached out a second time. I was like, you know what? I changed my mind. Yeah, I may want to live there.
Yeah.
Set that up. So everything lined up perfectly. But she had manifested that place, that was her favorite place in the state that we had lived in before. And then we
Okay.
ended up back there. Yeah. And then we ended up here, which is another place we manifested. Yeah. So
That's incredible.
what about you? What's the latest? Because I do have more. I'm gonna wait until after.
Well, I did manifest being a month
In
on
Hawaii.
island. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
manifest that. And then since then, I have been manifesting. Everything for me has been so aligned to where I think about it and I sit with it and it's done.
Oh, I love that.
It's been amazing. Like, for instance, I had this wonderful idea, this whole business idea on Oahu, and I was getting ready to fly to Maui. And I was like, only thing, I don't know any riggers on island.
Hmm.
None. I know the stunt people, but I don't know any riggers. I get on my flight, and this guy is sitting next to me, good looking, and I'm talking to him, and he's a rigger.
Girl,
Not
what is the
only is
rigor?
he a rigger, but he owns his own company, has owned it for 20 years, and he goes and flies around and teaches people safety on rigging. So he's
Oh,
like the safest rigger on island. And we started talking, and he's like a one-stop shop. And I'm telling him about this business, and he's like, yeah, we can do green screen. I do editing and I do green screens. And I'm like, what? And I was like, that's so funny because I was just thinking, I don't know any riggers. And then here you are. He said, that's really interesting because I was supposed to be on a flight yesterday. That flight got canceled. Then they put me on another one today. That one got moved. to this one, and I was supposed to be in first class, but here I am in coach with the riffraff, right? Me. And he's like, and I'm sitting right next to you. He was like, so there was a lot of moving around for me to be on this flight right
Wow.
next to you. It was really interesting. And then he told me about his wife and their kids, and she's got like she does nails and she does hair on Maui. And he's like, yeah, I'm married, we're in an open relationship. And I'm
Ooh.
thinking to myself,
Girl, have you heard this
does she know
before?
that?
Does
What?
she know that? Oh, does she know that? Because I feel like you've heard this before from other sources. Oh, actually, I'm in an open marriage.
I was like, it's okay. No, 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 no. I said, I'm really more interested in the business and a business friendship. I'm down with it because I don't roll
Yeah,
like that. Like that's
yeah,
not my cup of
yeah,
tea. You like it, I love it for you. But
yeah,
where I am with spirit,
yeah. And
hell,
no,
no, I'm not gonna go backwards. No, I'm not gonna get
no
all my
judgment.
manifestations ripped away.
I hear you with that, but I think it also is the intention of your heart too. Because I know a lot of divine counterparts end up in these third party situations, and their heart may really be in it just to truly love the person as a person. It may not even be in it to be like, oh, I want to wreck this person, or I even want to seduce
Right.
somebody. It could be on some totally other higher level type shit where it's like, yeah, I love this person, but they're married, and
Absolutely.
then spirit have a way to physically separate you, so you're actually not like physically, doing anything with them,
Yep.
but and I know God works in mysterious ways, and I'm not saying that that is anybody's ideal pathway to be on.
Right.
I
Right.
just know
Right.
it happens a lot because we
Absolutely.
are on a soul journey, and I
And a
think we're
lot of
meant to
them are the twin flame journey.
actually what,
The
sorry.
twin flame. Like there's a lady who does twin flame specifically stuff on TikTok. And she
Yeah,
talks about, she's like, a lot of times there is that wall and it's there for a purpose. And I'm like, yo,
that sucks though.
you can
Yeah,
take that wall and you know where you can put that wall?
yeah. And it really is up to that person what the whole experience is supposed to be for them. Like, is it a
Right.
divine lesson, or are you supposed to end up with this person? Only that person can figure it out. Ain't nobody
Right.
else can,
Right.
because God's got a different plan for all of us. And like I said before, he, she, it, the energy works in mysterious ways, and we really have no idea
Absolutely.
what the master plan is, and it could look really effed up on the outside to somebody who doesn't know the hearts of both individuals. Um, because I definitely have been in one situation like that,
Yeah.
because I'm not really into that either,
Yeah.
but I know my path is a unique one where it's like everything
Yeah.
that you wouldn't ideally want to happen now is happening to kind of show me that this is the loophole where you know you could have
Right.
seen it. I'm such an idealist. The universe likes to make me not an idealist and show me the opposite of being ideal and how it could still be somewhat ideal, but there's a lesson that's more ideal than the circumstance, if that makes sense. What I mean is, what you wouldn't want that happens anyway
Right.
is for your higher self growth, is
Right.
for you to not focus on the 3D BS that you might not want relationally, friendship wise, business, whatever. All that BS that's almost like the noise. The energy wants you to focus on the silence. Like, but what
Right.
are you hearing when there's no noise there?
Yes.
And what the world wants to say, that's wrong, this is bad, this is this is that, all the judgment. When you remove all of that, what are you actually learning in the situation? So yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's different strokes, different folks. But for me particularly, I'm like, I came into that meeting with a business idea. So there's no
yeah,
need.
okay. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, I'm not talking about,
Yeah.
no, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about you with that, no, I'm not, no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I've got,
I could throw in, like, if it was, one particular person who you feel is your person, if he were married,
oof,
but married and estranged. So we'll throw it in there. So it's not like it's a happy situation. Married but estranged,
strange.
and is either and physically separated for years.
Yeah.
from his spouse, and then you meet him, and then you guys become friends, and let's say you even hanging out, and
Absolutely.
I don't know how that would, it's like everybody's divine
Right.
counterpart story is different, and then
Mhm.
you have this, and I like I did too, a moral battle about what's going on here. This is not what I wanted. That's why I was friends with this person for 3 years first. You're
Yeah.
like I'm not trying to do anything. And then it's like, but hold on, why do I feel like this magnetism? And I end up wanting to call them like 10 times a day. So I'm just saying, there's a lesson, there's divine intervention, there's divine meetings and divine appointments, and sometimes it could just be the only way. Sometimes going through something, bless you, something as unconventional as that could be the only way that you have to go to get to your highest self. And I don't know if people ever see it like that. Sometimes you have to go through certain ways, and that could be
Absolutely.
unique to that person and to that soul.
Absolutely.
So that's
Well,
how I'll say that.
how do you think, what do you think, what's your opinion on manifesting? What do you think is the best way? Because, I've done a few videos on manifesting, on how to manifest money. Um, and
I
it's
got a,
basic, but I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I got a couple of really like miraculous stories that I could share. The first one is going to be a bodybuilding one,
Oh,
because
yeah,
when I first came out on stage, right? I'm coming out. Man, yeah. When I first came on, it just felt like a whole coming out thing. It's like, wow, I'm on stage. I'm half naked.
yeah.
What's going on in
Yeah.
the world? Like, I'm coming out.
No, it's three quarters naked. Oh,
Girl, it's a lot. And I remember my picture, the main picture that was taken from me on stage, that was like, it really felt like this is an I'm coming out stage, where I'm like, yeah, this is me. Nobody's ever seen me like this before. And because I'm not an exhibitionist, and that's basically what that was.
yeah.
And I worked so hard the first time around that it was such a physical battle, and more, I mean, and then it also was such a mental battle, but it was a very 3D thing that I was doing. And then I didn't get the results that I wanted. I got third place as the best place, but I felt like I worked so hard, like I should have gotten first place. And maybe that was my naivete and my narcissism at the time, because I really felt like I was working super hard, so hard that I felt like I was going to die through some of the workouts. I never
Right.
threw up because I'm not really the type. I've been so athletic. I'm not really the type to throw up. And my trainer pushed me hard, like hard, so much so that other trainers were saying, "You're hurting her, dude." And I never threw up. But besides that, I wouldn't be able to move the next day, or I
Right.
would be starving so much I'd have to binge eat the third
Yeah.
weekend. Like, I'd eat a whole box of cereal because it was just like, well, dang, my metabolism isn't just. I mean, this
Yeah.
is too much.
Yeah.
But bypassing all that, the second time around, where I thought I wasn't gonna, my body wouldn't let me do it because I had like metabolic syndrome and all that. And then I was like pretty much letting it go. So it was like I had to pretty much let it go again. A coach friend tapped me on the shoulder, like, "Kristen, you really need to be doing this. You got the shoulders, you got muscle belly." He said it just like that. Kristen, you got muscle belly. And it's like, you got muscle, it's like, you got muscle belly. It's like, okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
He was envious of me and my shoulders back when I used to work them out. Like, they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
boulders. And
I want
and
to know
he
who
was,
that is, by the way. But anyway, you can tell me later.
I'll tell you later. I'll tell
Yeah.
you later, because he's still online, and he still was in my DM, like a couple years ago. No, I'm joking. But yeah, he was though.
I don't doubt it, girl. The bodybuilding world is wild. Anyway,
It is wild. And it also was like, you know what, I don't think I can relive that whole experience again. But people always said me and him looked very much alike. Like, people thought we were related. Like, we
oh,
were
now I
very
definitely
attracted.
have to know who this is.
I was very attracted to him. He was very attracted to me physically, but it was
Okay.
relationally wise, people still need a mature man. It don't matter how old they are. Some people just need a mature. But besides that, let me get back to it.
Yeah.
He was the one who put it back in my head. Man, you wasting this body. You need to be, and he was my coach, and he was talking like he was from the South, because he was from the South. You need to get back on stage. You
Yeah.
need to eat your veggies and your meats.
You
Meats and veggies.
get you a cow. Absolutely.
And he came up with my meal plan and everything.
Yep.
I had paid for him to do like almost like this surprise bodybuilding show, which you should never do to a bodybuilder. And I did that. I mean, like it was an extraordinary, interesting relationship, actually. And when I think back, like he could say that he's never been loved by anybody the way that he was loved by me. And I know he, hence the DM. I laugh because I mean, it was, yeah, there was a lot of laughs with him, you know, because I think the Southern drawl really brought it out. But besides that, when I was kind of very loosely doing it, and he basically let me go on my own towards the end because he was dealing with other people anyway, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to let this whole thing go anyway, and just be there for myself and be a coach to myself. And when I did my own diet, and when I had, gone up on stage, the first time under his care, and like 2 weeks prior, I sat down with my third place trophy from the first time around. And I sat down with it, and I closed my eyes, and I was dreaming with it like it was a first place trophy. And I imagined myself on that stage getting my first place trophy and winning the whole show. And I did that only a couple times, and I wasn't as gung ho as I was about, the competition the first time around, because I was so like, I lived and I breathed, and, I let go of all that. And I was like, I think my body looks okay this time around, but I wasn't really that proud, wasn't that proud of it. But I had manifested. I ended up going to my very first show with my Southern coach friend, and when we got there, no offense to the other ladies, and I don't know if they know me, but other people, I don't even know what I want to say about it. But I mean, everybody else wasn't necessarily at a certain level. It was like everybody was definitely at a beginner level. That's what I'll say. Everybody was at a beginner level. And the one lady that would have been competition, who was like built like a square, meaning she had no fat on her. Like she was very like, like she, was possibly a gymnast in her last life.
Yeah.
When she went through the drug testing, she did not pass.
Oh, you did Muscle Mania? Which one did you do?
No, this is OCB. But the
OCB,
one,
okay.
this is OCB girl. And when I got on stage and she wasn't there and everybody else was, I won that show, and I won the whole show without having to even look that good. And all I did was sit down with my third place trophy, and I manifested that shit, and everything just happened. Yep. Incredible. And you know what my coach said? He's like, man, I wish I could have it that easy. I'm like, exactly. And I thought to myself after that, man, first place is cool and all, but it really isn't like the end all be all. Like it was after that, I was like, this is kind of overrated. Like, and I don't know how many people would really think of it like that, but it was like the universe allowed it. So I could see that it was overrated. And then I knew I wasn't going to be one of those bodybuilders like, hey, come and see my room full of all of my 1,000 trophies and swords. I'm like, that's all y'all been doing? And y'all 45, y'all don't got nothing else to show for like but the trophies?
Yeah.
Let me stop. I'm not saying everybody.
No,
I'm saying the ones I knew was usually single. Maybe they had a kid, but they didn't really have the importance in relationship. They didn't have the importance in building foundations.
No. More than likely they had a kid and it was like, oh crap. It typically, bodybuilding.
Yeah. I'm just saying the manifestation story. It was my goal to get first place. It was my goal to turn pro. I did that. Then the second show after that, I was dead last at this crazy show in the Cape Cod show, girl. I was dead last in that because I wasn't striated enough or whatever, but that was the hardest I think I'd ever looked. I was like, man, if I had the photos that you saw, you'd be like, well, damn. It was like, it was tough. And then after that, when I was on my own, coaching and believing in myself without that coach and trusting in my own nutrition, I went to a NPC show. And that's when I met your friend. I forget what her name is, but me and her were in the same class and the same height group. Out of 20 girls, and they all looked good, and some of them were drugging. I know they were.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I got fourth place, and that fourth place felt like first place to me because my body was where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And everything lined up the way I wanted it to be.
Did she place?
So, I don't, you know what? I don't think so. I think, or she got sixth. I think it was something like that. She got sixth. She might've got sixth or seventh or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was like, man, that felt like a first place. I'm like, I'm getting the sword. I'm in the magazines. I was in the magazines for the first one, but I won the whole show.
Nice.
Yeah. But when I say I'm talking about the local
Yeah, the
you know,
OCB. Yeah,
OCB
yeah, 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 yeah.
magazine. Yeah, and that was a manifestation as well. I wanted to be in a magazine, you know, I wanted, and then so I could move on with my life. I just wanted to like kind of check some of these things off just to know what it felt like. Because I'd
Right,
never really won anything like that before. And
right.
then even at the MPC show, I'm like, dang, that was a big show. The whole auditorium was full. This is the
Oh,
Baltimore City Classic.
oh, Charm City Classic.
Charm City Classic, yeah. And then I'm on Google somewhere, and people could find me on there on
Wait a minute.
stage
What
at that
year was
time.
that?
2013, long time. It's like over 10 years now. Can you believe it?
That was, I mean, that was when I was in the circuit. I mean, obviously that's what I
Circuit
mean, but like I was in the circuit then. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I probably saw you compete at the Charm City Classic.
yeah, probably. But it was he was backstage. Jay Cutler was there.
Yes,
Yeah,
I did. I was at that one. It was, yeah.
yeah,
Was that
girl.
considered the Jay Cutler Classic or the Sean Ray
Yeah.
or something like that?
Um,
The
it
Jay
was called
Cutler.
Charm. Yeah, yeah, it was called Charm City. So it could have
But
been
was
Jay Cutler.
okay, well,
Maybe
because
it's
I
Cutler.
remember, I think that's when I met Jay Cutler backstage and we were the same height and I was so heartbroken.
Wow, I met him too, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't want." I'm like, "Do I need to be close?" I mean, your friend was so close because she was on the other side with his in his other arm, and I'm like, "How close do I get?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah, he's sure.
I'm like, "How am I supposed to be hugged up next to him?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's too big too. He's so big too." And I'm
He
like,
is so big.
"Oh, how are we?" And I was like, I think I was like
Ah!
this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's so nice. He was so nice. I loved meeting him. He was so humble and he was great. And Sean Ray, that was another one. That was an anyway. Anyway, we'll move on
Girl,
from
oh, I see you.
he was very nice. He was a very nice individual. I don't even remember how I met him. Girl,
You
that's a
met
whole
him.
story.
You met him like.
Hi.
You met him like
Competing
this.
in your Sean Ray classic. Actually, no, and I remember just distinctly like bowing down because I his physique, Sean Ray's physique, was one of my favorite physiques because he didn't have the distended belly. He had a perfect X frame. He had a tight little waist. He was probably my favorite bodybuilder as far as aesthetics. He didn't have that synthol
Yeah,
bloat.
I
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And he just had that perfect shape. And I was like, man, you are like the man, and he was married with like kids and yeah. So, but he was a really, really chill dude. Like he was chill.
Oh, wow. He wasn't stuck up. And
No, not at all. And neither was Jay, neither was Ronnie. I met
I
Ronnie
noticed that
Coleman.
with Jay. I was like, wow, Jay, you're almost too friendly. Like, I'm like, mom,
Yeah.
let me,
And then even, Phil Heath. So I say this because I'm tall, right? I'm 5'9". And Phil Heath, I think, might be like 5'7", but he's like 5'7" and like the size of a refrigerator. Like he's just massive. I remember meeting him at the Arnold and I was just like, good God. Like,
Wow, Arnold.
you remember the Arnold? Yeah, 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 yeah. Old school,
Yeah.
man. Like, yeah. The
Oh
Arnold's
my God.
wild. There's some scary folks there.
I believe you. You know what? And maybe I'm kind of glad I never went. Was that in Las Vegas?
No, that's the Olympia. The Arnold is in Ohio.
See, I would imagine the Olympia would probably be kind of scary too.
Oh my God, yeah. Like I was always natural, which is why I never did anything. I didn't do IFBB or NPC.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you never
but
did NPC either.
no, I didn't do NPC because I was not, yeah, and being taller is a little bit more difficult. I don't have as round of muscle bellies. I have a longer
Oh, yeah.
body.
Girl, and those of us who are shorter, like, we admire that, man. It's like you got that long, sleek muscle. I got the belly. You know, it's
Yep.
like I got all that belly. And like what I'll do is with my kid, she's like, Mom, wow, because she's got the long and I've got the short with the belly. And she's like, Mom, I didn't know you had all that. Like, yeah. I don't show
Yeah.
it all. Like, I sometimes feel embarrassed.
Yeah. I've got the legs. I've got the legs, but I don't
Yeah.
have like my shoulders would not cap for the life of me.
Mm.
I had a shoulder cap, but not to the extent that I wanted. So like and I dieted so hard and I was also going through a breakup at that one that we linked up at.
Yeah, I
And
remember
I
that.
was just like like I remember thinking I was huge on stage and by these other girls just because well one I'm tall, but I always just felt huge. And then I looked at the photos and I was like, what? I was just skinny. I was just like, I was
Wow.
so tiny and I didn't, all my muscle had gone away because my former coach had me just running and running and running to get my legs down. And I was so unhealthy. And I remember my legs just burning 24 hours a day because my muscles were just, like my muscles were being eaten for energy. And because it was like he had me
You're
carb cycling.
catabolic.
And my high day was 1,300 calories.
Isn't that crazy? And you're
13.
taller than me. That should never be. Your low day should be like 1600.
My high
My
day was 13. My low day was 11. And I was doing an hour of cardio in the morning,
girl,
lifting,
no.
and then 45 minutes of cardio after.
And that's why people should probably never do bodybuilding. If you want your body to be normal and balanced, this is not the way to go. But I am glad that I had the experience of this extreme again. Here we go. And then I could even tell you there was time I had a coach who made me go up to 175, and I'm 5'5.5". Yeah, I think I started off
Wow.
at like 145. He made me go up 30 pounds, and I know that's not supposed to happen. He's like, wow, you can't. He's like, maybe you need to get yourself checked out because that's not supposed to happen. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't know my body. Then I went to a black coach, right? The same one with the southern draw, and even his diet still was like it was still too meat heavy. So then
Yeah.
everybody looking extra buff, and
Yeah.
but still my weight went down, but it just went down slow. um and I still felt like, you know what, I'm really meat heavy person. If I want to be lean, I gotta eat mostly veggies. Like, y'all gotta figure out a way to make a plant-based protein for this body. I have too much muscle belly. I can handle going lower and getting the look I need for stage and still have the muscle. So,
Right. Whereas I
girl, all it
think I
takes,
might be the opposite. I don't
I
really
think
know.
so, because you're taller and leaner, and when you're shorter and more stouter, it's like I can't really get away with that many carbs. Even the carbs I eat now was fruit carbs. I don't even really eat, like, if I do eat, I eat complex carbs. I'll do baked potato,
Okay.
and I really should be doing baked sweet potato, not the baked white
Ooh.
potato. But I know if I, like today, I moved, I was outside in the 90-degree sun that we still have over here. I'm toting luggage back and forth five
Yeah.
blocks and lugging that on an empty stomach back and forth.
Oof.
And I already sunned out, meaning I was already out in the sun for an hour. So you see, I have to do that to stay lean. I can't, and then I still will eat plant based after that. It's like, I can't. And I know
I
I
would have
got
passed
thicker.
out. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and then I had kid in tow too. She only had one thing. She's like, Mom, oh my God, you had me work early. I'm like, we had to get out before checkout.
That's
And all
fair.
she was lugging was just a little step, one of those little steps that fold. That was
Yeah.
like the only thing she had. And then she had her blowed up ball and a little ball that she had to lug, the one that you would bounce on. She
Yeah.
had that one that we didn't deflate because we didn't have the tool. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But she had to do all that. But
Okay.
so it's interesting noticing the different bodies.
Absolutely.
But you know
Absolutely.
what? Manifestation when it comes to even body is also what you envision. I remember this girl who, was a Jamaican girl who was always coming first place. She had said to me, she was like embarrassed for me one time. She was like, "You still big or whatever." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You don't know do you know what you want to do?" And I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. What do you mean do? And then my coach said she don't know what she want to do. Don't even ask. I'm like, what? I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, this is not something we get paid for.
No.
And she was like, you need to have a vision board and you need to look at that every day on what you want to look like. And that needs to be your motivation for how you're going to get down to this. And I'm like, Dad, people really take this shit serious, even though they're not getting paid to do it as a salary.
Yeah.
Like, and then she'd also, and then what that coach said? He's like, I'm afraid for so and so because when she gets second place, she's not going to be able to handle it. She's never gotten second place before. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Okay. That's weird. See, and for me, I did have a vision. I had cut out somebody from Oxygen magazine
Yeah, me too. I
and
did have that
stuck her
too.
on my wall. And then I
Yep.
ended up being somewhat shaped like her, minus the giant shoulders. I'm pretty sure she's not natural. But Yeah, I saw it every day and I was like, yeah, I got that, but I'm not gonna be. It's okay. Like I also don't mind being smaller, right? And I remember as a trainer, I remember one client, I started working with her. I was like, oh, what's your goal? She's like, no offense, I don't really want to look like you. I was like, don't worry, you won't, because you're not gonna probably put that hard work in.
I always admire people taller, okay, because that means your weight is more evenly proportioned than what mine. I have to work hard to keep mine proportioned. The things I have to do to keep my weight like proportioned is
Yeah.
a lot more than what you may have to do.
Yeah,
So when people say
probably.
stuff like that, it's like, what are they trying to look like? Well, I would ask like, so who do you want to
Well, she
look
didn't
like?
want like to be muscular. And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
don't worry. Like you won't because
well, then if she had seen me, she'd been like, "No, you definitely, no, you're really too rigid." Like I've had relatives say that to me, like, "Prison, you're getting a little bit too much." You like, and people, but it's like if people have seen my sister, who also isn't in bodybuilding, we all naturally have muscular calves, muscular arms, muscular everything. I think my brother never had to work hard to get abs. He just woke up one day and had them.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, so it's just like it must be that island gene. We all get our genes from my dad, who was naturally like pretty muscular. So I
Nice.
mean, I'm grateful because that means I have a good base, and that's what my
Absolutely.
coaches would say. But girl, besides all that, I mean, there is manifestation involved, obviously, with
Absolutely.
bodybuilding.
I should have
That match
manifested more when it came to bodybuilding, but I definitely
probably
didn't
would have had more
manifest.
trophies, but you
I mean,
probably
I
would have.
did.
But
I won. I got, I don't remember what place it was. I got a trophy. I don't remember what place it was in Vegas. I have no idea.
But Vegas seemed, but on this note, Vegas seems
Hmm.
like it would be hard because even if you're not on stage, it still seems like you're on stage in like a Vegas. Like if you were to go to try and get hired somewhere, everything is a stage in
Yeah.
Vegas. Even if you are a waiter or a waitress, everything is
Um,
about what you look like. If you're not the
yeah.
right size, everybody's got to be 125, especially around spring break and they're hiring people. If you're not 125 and you're not running like how you were running, best of luck getting hired. Because I remember I was more thickums when I tried to get hired, and I didn't even really understand myself back then. I think I had body dysmorphia where I thought I was smaller than what I was. Because then when I looked at myself in the mirror, I'm like, well, dang, where'd these size come from? Where'd this behind come? It was like, because I would have so many water fluctuations, my lymphatic system, and I didn't understand that about
Yeah.
myself at the time. Why I wouldn't even notice when I'm starting to bloat up. And it's like, okay, God damn, like what happened to me? And it almost would feel like it would happen overnight. Like I could barely see myself, And then I had to be in a bikini to be interviewed. Whew. Girl, you should have seen the stick figures I saw. And then there I was. I was like, woof.
Yeah. No.
That's when I turned fully plant-based, was in Vegas. But Vegas is a rough place. I mean,
Yeah.
just physically, period. I mean, it's like being in South Beach, I would imagine. Everybody like who can wear the string bikini the best.
Oh God. Did you know
Yeah.
that Miami, at least when, and I don't know when it was last year I read this, that Miami, at least last year, was like the leading city with STDs.
I believe it. You know why? Because they wear butt floss and they wear the butt floss like it's floss, and that's all they need to wear.
Oh,
That's,
yeah, not
and
my,
men
that's not
get,
my scene. It's just not my
they got
scene.
those landing strips and all that, and real men don't even care about any of that, apparently. All these women getting tarred and waxed and tethered and feathered.
Darn.
Tarred and waxed and defeathered. You know,
Feathered. Absolutely. Absolutely.
doing the most. Well, we just all mammals, like let me see.
And it's funny because one of my MIDI, she was talking to me and she was like, have you ever had a Brazilian wax? And I was like, no. And she's like, I think I'm gonna give myself one. I was like, okay, girl. She rings me on the phone. All I hear is her screaming. And I was like, what is happening? Are you okay? And then I hear, whoosh, and I was like, oh God. I was like, you know what? God bless you. Go with God. You're better than me. I I don't know. I don't know if I would even do it to myself, let alone let someone else like
Girl, I
I
have let somebody else do that. And it's the
Woo!
weirdest thing when this is definitely an adult. This is definitely an
I know.
adult.
How do we tag this for
Definitely have to take those tweets and get deep in there. Like, well, not deep in there, but on the outskirts. Okay.
right?
And plucking. And so it's not like plucking eyebrow, but I guess it is kind of like plucking eyebrows. I'm like, well, dang, okay.
Oh,
It was
oh.
way too personal. And it's like, man, if I
Oh,
could go
that
back in
sounds
time
painful.
and undo that, yeah. Because I mean, nair is one thing,
Nair.
bikini waxing is another. And
Girl, nair all the way.
after, okay, but after all these experiences, you just like, fuck it, I'm gonna wear shorts. I don't even care about that. I'm gonna go to the pool. I'm gonna wear shorts and a bikini top. Like I can't. I
That's what
can't.
I
I did.
did in when we went to Molokini. I was like, I am gonna wear my shorts just because I don't feel like shame and everything.
Not yeah, the bumps, the shape, the feeling.
Girl,
It's we getting too, and then the dudes don't even care, you know. And I'm not even out there like that, but I'm just saying, like dudes don't even care about all of that. When you got landing stripping out, like
yeah.
no, I'm gonna take no. I plus I'm a mom now anyway. Like who do I have to
I
impress?
I had a bad actually I had a nightmare. Come to think, I think it was last night where I was outside and I was in a bikini and I looked down and I had not shaved. I had
It's a
not
wolf monkey. It's a wolf
I
monkey down there.
girl. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, how did I come out the house? Like I was so mortified. And my person was with me and he was like, babe. And I was like, oh, I was mortified. And I don't know where I was, but it was very public. I was probably at a pool somewhere. Oh my gosh. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, what? I guess it's literally like a nightmare, like
Yeah,
nightmare engaged.
it reminds me of when people go to like have those dreams where they go to school with no shoes or they go to school naked. It's like one of those dreams where you're like, I'm in high school and I left my shoes, or I'm in high school, I didn't wear any clothes. Those dreams, man. It's like they're the terror. It's like your worst fear
Uh-huh.
of not being able to go back home without the embarrassment following you back home, or
Yeah.
having to walk back home bare. It's like there's no way out of that. It's a situation where there's no way out of it.
Yeah.
That is very traumatizing. And I
Yeah.
think somebody seeing a wolf monkey, there's no way you could let them unsee that. Yeah.
Oh, what?
A wolf monkey. You got all that going on down there. You know, it's like ain't nobody can unsee that. It's
A
just there.
wolf monkey. Okay.
Wolf monkey.
All right. All right. I like that. That's funny. That's
I
hysterical.
borrowed that. I definitely borrowed that from Yash Karam.
Got
My
it.
favorite radio.
That's hysterical. We only have a minute left, but yeah.
Yeah. I did have one last manifestation. I was
Okay.
trying to get a car like a week ago, and it was a Volkswagen Taos. I think that's what they call it. It's
Okay.
just like a Volkswagen Tiguan, right? I wasn't able to get it because I didn't have 3 months of employment. I'm like, dang it. So I almost got it. It was white. And then tell me why. I went on Turo. I still had to rent a car the following week. And the only car I could find that was going to deliver it to my driveway was a 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan, white, sunroof, leather seats. I was like, bada bing, bada boom, universe. There you go, doing it to me again. And it was like the most beautiful car. It was a beautiful experience. It was like, wow. So I couldn't get that, but they were like, we'll give you
There you
this. And I'm
go.
like, wow.
Absolutely. And that's how it works.
It was the only car I could get that made sense financially.
That was beautiful.